He's the magic. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship.
Turned out to be a beautiful day here in Seattle as the Mariners are in the midst of their final homestand of the season tonight. It's the deciding game of this three-game series, the Mariners and the Oakland Athletics, as the King takes them out for the final time in 2018. His 28th start of the campaign, facing this starting lineup is written down by Bob Melvin.
He's third in the American League in runs scored. Nick Martini will lead things off. He was 3 for 5 with a couple of RBIs last night. The cleanup hitter Chris Davis was not in the lineup, back in the lineup today. 46 home runs on the year. Josh Fegley will round out the 9 for the A's. And for Felix Hernandez, again, fastball at 89 miles an hour, curve, changeup, a 5.46 ERA, and 151 2/3. He has 121 strikeouts. Opponents hitting .264 against him. And the defense tonight, Ben Gamble will get the start in right field. Daniel Bogle back at first base, so Ryan Healy getting the night off, and Chris Herman will do the catching.
Now for Felix, his last start was here at home against the Yankees. That was way back on the 8th, went just 4 innings. 1 earned run. Second pitch into this ball game, easy ground ball for Robbie.
Really like to see a lot of that tonight. A lot of ground ball out with Felix on the mound. He's at his best when he's down in the zone.
2 starts ago, Felix faced the A's. That was on the 2nd day of this month. 4 runs over 5 innings worth of work. Just 70 pitches for Felix in that contest. And you know, Mike, we have talked off and on, and Scott's been asked the question about certain guys and should they be shut down at this point of the year that the Mariners have been eliminated from postseason contention. But it seemed like whether it was Scott or Jerry or Felix himself, they want him to finish on a high note. He's been working on some mechanical things they feel has helped to refine his delivery. This is an important start for him going into the offseason.
Well, I think that it can be for him. You mentioned some of the things that he has changed. Last night we saw him out in the bullpen. That's been part of the routine for him when he was sent to the pen. He pitched well after that, and he's kind of stayed with that program. Amping things up on his throw days as far as his pen work goes, also another part of it. So yeah, you're right. I think that this is a chance for him to feel pretty good about at least his routine and where he's at going into the winter.
In January or February, tonight will seem like a year ago, but I'd have to imagine that for Felix in the early moments of the offseason, being able to go into the wintertime, having had success in his final starts, a lot better than saying, well, I got shut down early because I had a bad hamstring.
No, I think so. I think it's important, and I think again, if nothing else, you gain confidence with the routine that he is in, and then you're not wondering over the course of the winter and show up in spring training and really starting all over again. That will be taken care of for him. So I think it's important. You'd like to see him pitch well again. 70-75 pitches today, so hopefully that will get him through 4 or 5 innings.
The 2-2 to Simeon.
Showing a good fastball, 90 miles an hour on the outside corner. The 2-seamer again with some movement.
Simeon, good numbers in his career against Felix, a .341 hitter with 4 homers. Lined and a foul ball.
Out in front of a curveball. On the breaking ball in the outside corner, left it middle in. Came prepared, has his glove, now he has a baseball.
Another 2-2. And for the Mariners, the walk-off win last night thanks to that man Chris Herman. And the walk-off home run, and that was could turn out to be a very costly loss for the Oakland A's. You look at what they are playing for, and that is home field advantage in the wild card round against the Yankees. They would much rather fly back home to Oakland than fly all the way to the Bronx. That's now a 2.5 game lead for the Yankees. Slug to center. Haniger at the wall. Haniger leaps. Simeon's 5th career home run against Felix. And it's 1-0 Oakland. Now, the first inning woes have been one of probably the most frustrating storylines for the Mariners this year. Those woes of Felix, that is.
And for the A's, we've seen plenty of power in this series. They are second in the American League in home runs. Simeon his 15th home run of the year, going out to center field. 9 pitches in the at bat, and he gets a fastball in the middle of the plate.
I wonder, Mike, when Felix has had damage dealt to him in the first inning, which feels like it's been more starts than not, often we have seen a home run mixed in, and I'm curious hearing Scott talk about this, and probably Felix at some point also, if the belief there is that, is this isolated to this year? Is this a thing that they believe can carry, unfortunately could carry over into next year? Because although the first inning so oftentimes is one of the most productive innings offensively in baseball, because the starting pitcher just hasn't settled in. Good catch by Span. 2-away. It's been at an extreme level this year for Felix.
I think that his first couple of outings next year will tell you. To answer that question, because I think that he's aware of it.
Sure.
Everybody else is aware of it. And if he starts the year next year in his first couple of starts and that continues to be a problem, then I think you can look at it as, at this point in his career, it's going to be an issue, and he has to figure out a way to get out of it. I think if he goes out, because sometimes these things can snowball on you, and you have some bad memories about things, and the first inning would be one of those for Felix. But if he can get through the first inning, through his first couple of games, I think he can put it behind him. And to your point, it was just one of those years.
Sure. And that can happen.
Yeah.
And credit to Felix and credit to Mel. And they have looked at other routines in the bullpen before the game to try to solve the problem. Davis to left, and that will retire the side. Simeon's home run has given the A's an early 1-0 lead. Here in Seattle, final game of this 3-game series. The starting lineup brought to you by Jack in the Box for the Mariners.
And Mitch Haniger going to lead things off. 26 home runs, 91 RBIs on the year. Nelson Cruz, the cleanup hitter, hit his 37th home run last night. It was a 3-run home run in the first. And hitting ninth, Chris Herman, the hero last night, a walk-off home run for Herman. For Edwin Jackson, 16 starts on the year for the A's, a 3.18 ERA, 87 2/3, 66 strikeouts over 32 walks. Opponents hitting just .217 against him.
Reaching base in 31 of his last 33 games. Mitch Haniger leads it away for the Mariners. And the opposite way. Canna is there for out number 1. How about the rest of the defense for the A's tonight?
Mark Canna will be in center field. Chad Pinder over at third base, so Matt Chapman, a rare day off for him. Josh Beckley getting his first start of the series. Jonathan Lucroy, normal everyday catcher, will also get the night off.
In steps Gene Segura, a second deck home run in last night's game, his 10th of the season.
For Edwin, he has all the pitches: fastball, cutter, slider, curveball, changeup. Primarily it'll be his fastball at 93 miles an hour and a cutter and a slider.
One ball and the one strike to Gene. And some monster games this year against the A's, batting nearly 370. Up the middle and into center field for a base hit. One out single, Gene Segura.
A bit of an inside-out swing. It's a fastball at 94 miles an hour on the inner half of the plate. Gets it right back up the middle. A little bit of a slice to it. A solid base hit for Segura.
Cano an even 300 average, now a 7-game hitting streak. Hits in those 7 games for Robbie. Really is almost unbelievable for Edwin Jackson when you consider he began this year pitching in the Nationals organization. He made 10 starts for their AAA affiliate in Syracuse and pitched well, to his credit. Signed a minor league deal to pitch for the Oakland A's, and never ever would he have thought that he would be pitching in the major leagues at the end of the season for a team that is beginning to push 100 wins on the year and will be going to the playoffs. I think when he was pitching in Syracuse in April, when it's 40 degrees and there are 100 people in the ballpark, I think moments like he has had over the last, call it, couple of months seem like light years away. One out, one on. You just never know.
Never know. It's interesting with all the innings that he has pitched in his career, but he still has a good fastball. We've already seen 94 miles an hour.
Olsen on to second. Semien plenty of time to first. And the double play will quickly wrap up the bottom of the first. We go to the second. collectible thanks to Funko. A number of limited edition Funkos will be mixed in, including 1,000 rookie and 24 bronze versions. Plus 10 collectibles will be signed by the kid himself. So swing on by Mariners.com to pick up your tickets. Olsen leads it off for the A's and looks at strike one. Check swing, a strike. Well, the Mariners put the shift on for Olsen. StatCast AI powered by AWS shows you how they line up.
Felix with 16 pitches, 11 strikes in the first inning. Gave up the solo home run to Simeon. He's throwing a lot of strikes.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Olsen leading off the second. He'll be followed by Piscotty and then Pinder. Fights it away, foul, still 2-2. After this series wraps up tonight, the Rangers will be coming to town for the final 4 games of the season. First strikeout tonight for Felix.
Went after him with the fastball at 90 miles an hour. Take a look at the fastball and the location, pitching him inside, late swing. After a couple of curveballs in the changeup. Surprises him with the fastball.
Now tied the former Mariner, Mark Langston, 37th of the all-time strikeout list. Jack Morris not too far away now, Hall of Famer. What a year for Piscotty. Set career marks in home runs and doubles, 41 doubles for Piscotty. Gamble in right field tonight with 2 hands. Now number 2.
First couple of nights we talked about the A's and the home runs that they've hit this year, but this is important how aggressive they have been. And Felix starting some of these hitters off with the curveball or his changeup and then going to the fastball, trying to slow them down a little bit. Chad Pinder getting the start at third base. Matt Chapman the night off.
Chapman with that costly blunder in the 9th inning last night helped open the door for the Mariners. Really kind of points to how bizarre last night was late in that game.
Yeah, you're right about that, because it was a routine play that Chapman will make all the time, and you mentioned it, the Mariners catching a break there, but then you have to take advantage of that, and they were able to.
It's just easier said than done against Trinan.
Exactly.
And for Trinan, that was the first time that he'd allowed multiple base runners in an outing since July, and in that outing he worked multiple innings. 2-1 on Pinder. Shot out to center. Haniger to the wall and out of room. Second home run tonight for the A's. Both have been solo. Both have been out towards center. Pinder's 13th, 2-0 Oakland.
And both have been on the fastball and ended up in the middle of the plate. Take a look at the location. Trying to go to the outside corner, but had some run to it and ran right back to the middle of the plate. Primera Supermo in the swing by Pinder. A couple of long home runs out to center field. Curveball. That has been his best pitch this year. Opponents hitting just 196 against the curveball for Felix. Typically, those are numbers that you would hear about his changeup. His changeup's been a good pitch too. 232 average on the changeup.
Two balls and a strike to Canna, getting the start in center tonight. For Canna, it's been a career year, 17 home runs. And for Canna, a 2-out walk following the home run to Pinder. That brings up Feckley, the number 9 hitting catcher. For the A's, 2 hits, both have been solo home runs, now a walk. Strike one to Feckley. Ball misses inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Felix ahead.
Right back with another curveball. 20 pitches in the inning for Felix. Been 17 days since his last start, so just 75 pitches for him this evening.
When you have that long of a layoff, we know that Felix is such a feel-based pitcher. Is it easier or harder if that is your approach, based on if you're mechanically oriented, a guy like Paxton, or is it 17 days? It's 17 days, and it's going to be tough either way.
I think it's an issue for both sides of it. For Felix, dealing with a hamstring, so it wasn't as if he was able to stay on his regimen with his bullpens. As this gets away from Herman, that'll be a wild pitch. So I just think that's quite a layoff. I think the main thing right away when that happens, and it was the same thing with James, is where's their fastball velocity out, what's the breaking ball look like, and then where is their command? How quickly can they command the baseball again?
Two outs, runner in scoring position, and a full count to Feckley. Stays alive. Next pitch, number 40 for Felix. Another 3-2. Consecutive 2-out walks. And here comes Mel.
That time it was on the slider. Didn't want to give in to him with the fastball, so throws in the slider. Turn the lineup over. Martini, the leadoff hitter, he grounded out to second his first time up.
So after getting two pretty quick outs, Olsen and Piscotty, two dangerous hitters, a home run, couple of walks, and a wild pitch. Martini's been back and forth between AAA and the big leagues, and when he has been in the lineup for Bob Melvin, he's been a productive hitter.
Picked up 3 hits last night, drove in a couple of runs.
Puts across strike one. Martini, a 28-year-old rookie. And at center, Haniger is able to skip and make the catch. Martini is out number 3. The A's grab a run. They strand 2. Mariners celebrate Fan Appreciation Night on Friday with fantastic prizes, including airfare from Alaska Airlines, items autographed by your favorite Mariners, and much, much more. Then after the game, catch a fireworks spectacular presented by T-Mobile. Tickets at mariners.com. Nelson Cruz begins things for the Mariners in the home second. Looks at ball 1.
Aaron, before the game today, you and I were talking about the home run that Nelson hit.
That's called a production meeting, yes.
Home run that he hit last night, and I still have to chuckle about it.
In fact, we were both thinking about it independently at the same time when you brought it up.
Yeah. The 3-run home run in the first inning out to right center field. And he has 37 home runs on the year, but it was just a line drive, slicing line drive home run that he hit into the seats.
So no player has ever hit more home runs in a single season here at this ballpark than Nelson Cruz and Richie Sexton back in 2005, both with 21. And add to that, if you want to look at single season accomplishments and also career accomplishments for Nelly in his Mariners career. His next home run will tie him with Raul Ibanez for most home runs in a career hit in this yard. Leadoff walk. Yeah, well, a couple of things happening tonight around the National League. When you look at the Brewers win as they beat the Cardinals, this had a bit of a domino effect. The Brewers win 2-1 over St. Louis. That game being played at Busch Stadium. The Cubs and the Brewers on our Jet Closing Easy to Use standings. Cubs and Brew Crew, they have clinched postseason berths. They are tied for the top spot of the Central. Meanwhile, the Cardinals have been eliminated from contention of the Central. Their only path to the postseason is now through the wild card. So things beginning to get a little more clear in the National League. Brewers and Rockies right there at the top of the wild card standings. Cubs 91-66. Brewers with 92 wins on the season now. First pitch strike to Denard Span.
Span with a couple of doubles last night. Did not start the game, came off the bench. Double into right center field and a double down the left field line.
Ball and 2 strikes. And Mike, this is worth correcting. I misspoke. I didn't update my numbers. You know, there's so many of them, Mike. 83 home runs for Nelly. That home run last night for Cruz has now tied him with Raul for the most home runs in this ballpark's history. So his next will be the record setting.
Rangers on their way into town. 4 games over the weekend. I like his chances
against his former team, no less. It's interesting. You look at the Mariners. Now you bring the Rangers up. You look at the Mariners this year in the division. The Rangers are the only team they do not have a winning record against. There's a chance to change that in those 4 games. They're 7-8 against Texas this season. No matter what happens tonight, even if the Mariners were to lose, they would finish the year with a winning record against the A's. They're 10-8. Span down on strikes. First punch out for Jackson tonight.
A couple of changeups. Span trying to catch up to the fastball. Down. Good sink to the changeup tonight.
One out, one on for Kyle Seager, who tied the game of the 9th last night. Mike, it seems as though what we saw from Seager off the bench last night in that 9th inning seems to be what Scott Service has been hoping to see more of this year from Kyle, and that is really pull the ball with some gusto.
That's been his strength over the last 5 years.
For sure. It's why he was an all-star.
Right. That's been his strength. And you know, for Kyle, I think trying to use the entire field, and it's not a bad idea, and I don't blame him for trying to do that, but at times you get away from what your strength is, and it happens to most players at some point in their career. But for Kyle, that has been his strength. His power is to right field. I think he's going to he'll do some things over the course of the winter to where he's back and he's not missing that fastball. Talked to Edgar about it, and Edgar felt that he was just fouling the fastball back, especially the fastball in the middle of the plate. And last night it was a fastball, a good fastball that he ended up turning on after the cutter in on his hands. Was able to stay on it and drive it into right field.
Seager ahead of the count, 2-1. Bottom line, as a player at this level, you would rather be able to do one thing exceptionally well than be able to do a couple of different things on a more baseline level.
I think everybody has a strength. There's a strength of the game. We talk about it. Everybody has holes in their swing. Some fewer than others, smaller windows, if you will, to pitch to them. But everybody at this level is going to have some sort of strength that they're better. It might be hitting the ball the other way. I'm using the entire field. Robbie Cano, that he's made a career of using the entire field. Edgar, of course. Ben Gamble, who you can see waiting. He's also is that type of hitter. But for Kyle, he came up to the big leagues as that type of hitter. But once he moved to third base, because he came up as a second baseman, and then they thought maybe utility, they put him at third every day. And I can remember having the conversation with Kyle and him telling me that he spent a winter, one, getting stronger, and two, changing his swing to hit for more power, because that's what he felt that position required. And he was able to do that, which is not an easy thing to do, to change the way that you make it to the big leagues, and he was committed to it. But then as you go along, you make all these different adjustments because the league makes adjustments, and Kyle has been able to do that along the way. And this is the first year where hitting for an average has been a problem, you know, and I think for him, he'll make that adjustment again. But the one thing that you want to do is always stay on top of your strength. And I think that he'll get back to it.
Seager draws the walk. Couple of walks issued by Edwin Jackson here in the second. Mariners have 2 on, 1 out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners.
All right, Aaron, I know that you're a big fan of socks. What do you think of Daniel's socks?
Socks are very in right now, Mike.
Yes.
More than ever.
Well, you often comment on them, so.
No, I think it's a strong stock game. I don't think there's any question. I mean, you got to have, as John Gibbons would say, you got to have big league calves to pull socks off like that.
He would say that.
Does not go ball 1. Well, the Blue Jays announcing today that John Gibbons will not be back next year as the Blue Jays manager. I don't think that was a surprise to many people. Seems like that is a separation that has been done peacefully. We love Gibby. All of our best to John. We do hope that he finds his way someplace in the American League where we can see him on a regular basis. One of the more entertaining guys. We had a chance to talk to John the day following Paxton's no-hitter. Now remember that Paxton's start prior to his no-hitter was against these A's.
16 strikeouts.
A career high, and he looked just as dominant as he did in his no-hitter, really. When we talked to Gibbons about it, as Vogelback again holds back, John, in his Texas draw that only he can do, said, well, you know, I saw tape of Paxton in his previous start when he struck out 16, and I was hoping that we'd just be able to string a couple of hits off of him, and then all of a sudden we get no hits. Pretty magical night for Paxton north of the border.
Yes, it was.
Daniel getting his first start at first base since late July. Of course, spending a lot of time between then and now with Tacoma.
A couple of home runs on the last road trip, including a pinch hit home run. Helped the Mariners beat Houston.
Two to Vogelback. Gamble, the number 8 hitter on deck. 1 out, 2 on. Seager and Cruz aboard, both reaching on ball 4. And now the 3-2. The bases are loaded out of walks.
taking some close pitches, and Jackson didn't want to give in to him, walked him on a changeup. Changeup well off the plate.
Now you want to hear something you're not going to believe?
Sure.
You know, we were talking before this game began about Edwin Jackson, his no-hitter with the Diamondbacks years ago. He walked 8 batters in his no-hitter.
I don't know if you know or not, but how many pitches did he throw then? I mean, 8 walks and a no-hitter.
It's funny you asked that, Mike. 149 pitches.
There you go.
8 walks. Mike,
that's not giving in to anybody.
Mike, through 3 innings, Edwin Jackson had thrown 70 pitches.
Wow.
And he went on to throw a no-hitter. Bags packed for Ben Gamble. Told you wouldn't believe it. And to add to the interest of that, his manager for the Diamondbacks was A.J. Hinch. Out to the gap, right center field, carrying back and short hopping the wall. Piscotty tumbles down. Cruz and Seager are in. Gamble has tied this game at the bottom of the second.
And for Ben, the cutter that was down lays off of it, 1-0 count, and he gets a fastball in the middle of the plate, barrels it up and drives it into the gap. Came into the game hitting .272 overall and pick up a couple of RBIs.
One out, 2 in scoring position, tied game for Herman. 0-1. Herman won it last night for the Mariners, trying to give the Mariners the lead here in the second. Line right to second. Lowry is there, 2 outs. Kids Appreciation Day presented by Ivers and Kid Valley is the perfect day for young Mariners fans. This Sunday you can join us for a day of prizes and surprises when we face the Rangers at 12:10. All youngsters will take home a poster featuring the Mariner Moose. For tickets, visit mariners.com. Remember, a 12:10 first pitch is usual compared to the 1:10 we typically see. Every game beginning at the same time across the country on game 162. And steps Haniger with 2 away.
Pitch flew out to center field his first time up. This will be the second time through the lineup.
Begley out for a chat.
Both starters having to throw a lot of pitches in the second inning.
The 1-0. Piscotty comes in right field. Round number 3. The Mariners strand a couple, but they have tied it up thanks to Ben Gamble. campaign out nearly 20 days because of an injured hamstring. A couple of solo home runs off of Felix so far, but that's been it. This game is all tied at 2.
We've seen his fastball at 90 miles an hour. Looks like he has the good curveball working for him tonight. Trying to find the changeup. Semien with one of the 2 solo home runs, home run to center field.
It's kind of amazing now. Semien, that home run was his 5th against Felix in his career. We mentioned the career numbers. He's really seen Felix well. There's only 3 hitters who have ever homered more off of Felix now than Semien. Mike Trout the most with 8, Mark Teixeira 6, and a guy on his own team, Nelson Cruz, with 5. It's only 2 with more, actually. It's him this time. Semien down swinging. And with that, Felix has passed Mark Langston, 37th all-time on the career strikeout list.
He's going to get him to chase it down out of the strike zone. Felix throughout his career, when he's at his best, has been at the knees or below, getting hitters to chase it 84 miles an hour.
Well, nice round of applause here inside Safeco Field as the numbers you're seeing here were just put up on Mariners Vision and Center. So Jack Morris next in line. I would say Jack Morris, Mike, has been one of the most enjoyable interviews I've had in my time in the major leagues. He is about as scary of a guy as you could possibly imagine when you look at him. And he could not have, that ran off of Herman's mask, could not have been more gentlemanly to speak with. This was a couple of years ago in the press box at Target Field. And he really is terrifying to see. I mean, he's enormous for one thing.
I'm proud of you that you even asked him for the interview.
It took a couple of years. I think, if we can be perfectly honest. I mean, there aren't many people that you almost shy away from even making eye contact with. But in my defense, I would say that every hitter he ever faced felt almost exactly the same way. He's a mean man on the mound.
Sent me back to the dugout a few times.
And he was throwing a splitter before, or at least in a time where nobody else was throwing a splitter.
Yeah, great split. Was there any one particular thing that you either learned or surprised you in the interview?
Well, he was very humble. Lowry not too pleased. He's rung up.
Second strikeout in the inning for Felix.
We talked about the splitter because that was the great equalizer for him. It really took his career to a different level. And just now when you think about throwing a splitter, like say Shohei Ohtani, for example, Tommy John is coming for Ohtani as soon as the season's over with. You think about elbow problems, and I asked him if that was something that he incurred in his career, and he was very humble. He said, yeah, it did get to a point. That's because I got lazy. I did not keep up with my maintenance, my day-to-day program, keeping my arm healthy and in shape. I mean, he didn't get into the details of it, but you could tell this was something that required daily upkeep, right, to be able to keep his arm in the right form, throwing that pitch in particular. And I was impressed with how humble, and I've heard him speak since then about that same topic, and he's had the same message.
He pitched for a very long time with that pitch. See if Felix can strike out the side.
The 0-2. You know, I had to ask him about Game 7 of the '91 World Series when he pitched 10 innings, and the Twins ended up winning 1-0. And I asked him how long he was going to pitch that night, and he said, I would have pitched the 11th, I would have pitched the 12th. Rings him up. Felix strikes out the side in order. He gets Lowry and now Davis both looking.
Not surprised to hear him answer it that way.
Local agent at Safeco.com. Do more. And by Virginia Mason Primary Care. Strike one poured over to Gene Segura, who begins things for the Mariners in the bottom of the third.
Gene hit his 10th home run last night into the upper deck out in left field. Solid base hit back up the middle. It was a two-seam fastball. Jackson trying to run it in on his hands, but an inside-out swing produced a line drive back up the middle. Best fastball from Jackson, 95 miles an hour, just off the outside corner, and Segura trying to protect the plate.
Jackson going over a couple of options. Gene will step out. And now the 1-2. And it's interesting. You look at the baseball calendar. The season ends on Sunday. Monday, an off day before postseason play begins. Tuesday is the National League wild card game. Wednesday the 3rd, the American League wild card game. And you start to wonder, could Adam Jackson start that game for the A's? We just talked earlier about him pitching in Syracuse to begin the season, signing a minor league deal with the A's. No expectations on either side as to what might happen.
Why not? He has pitched well for the A's. Came into the game with a 3-1 aid as Gene will hit this out to center field. Can't underneath it. So why not?
Our CenturyLink What's Next. Good to see Marco Gonzalez on the mound tomorrow for the Mariners. Making start number 29 of the season. It'll be the final series of the year for the Mariners. The Rangers coming to town for a 4-game set. 6:30 our pregame show. 7:10 the first pitch time.
Whoever is going to start that game for the A's, we know this, that Bob Melvin, he can shorten the game with his bullpen. So it's not as if he's looking for somebody to go out there and pitch 7, 8, 9 innings. He doesn't need that from him. He's going to get through 5, hopefully have a lead and turn it over to the pen.
Really the shame of it all for the A's. Sean Manaea not only is done for this year, he is done essentially for all of next year as well.
Left-hander having a good year. This might work.
This is dropping, sliding, and a nice catch by Nick Martini. Well, how about that American League playoff picture? Wild card A's and Yankees. Yankees at 97 and 61 holding the advantage over the A's for home field advantage. Meanwhile, the Astros and Indians and then the Red Sox will be playing either New York or Oakland. Boston 107 wins. Doubleheader today for the Red Sox against the Orioles. Game 1 they won handily.
19-3, I would say so.
Here's Nelly.
Wilson walked his first time up.
So no Manaea, major shoulder surgery for the right-hander who threw a no-hitter in April against the Red Sox. What do you think about it? And Edwin Jackson an option. Mike Fiers maybe the other. I mean, you figure you're going to want a right-hander.
Right, against that lineup, I would think so.
Brett Anderson, a lefty, really struggling last night. In fact, the only lefty. So between the fact that he throws left-handed and his performance last night, that might be too strong enough factors to rule him out immediately. Otherwise, you're looking at Mengden, Cahill, Jackson, or Fiers. Broken bat and a ground ball over to Olsen. Jackson covering. He retires his sign in order. The Mariners send the minimum to the plate for the second time. It occurs anytime you take your eyes off the road. If you're on the road, off the phone, let's reach our target zero goal together. 0 traffic deaths in your family, 0 traffic deaths in our state. Well, Felix struck out the side in order in the third. Facing Matt Olson to start the 4th. The shift on. Robbie slides, recovers in time.
Quick out for Felix. Keeping an eye on his pitch count. Talking 70, 75 pitches for him.
One down for Piscotty. What a month it has been for the A's right fielder. He's hitting .329 in September. He's homered 7 times this month, and he's driven in 21 runs in 22 games. Stares at strike 1.
I think it will be interesting over the next couple of years to watch Steven and Mitch Haniger and comparing their numbers. 2 right fielders in the American League West, both very talented and
both first rounders.
Both first rounders, 5-tool players. They both run well, strong throwing arm. They hit for average and power. Piscotty 26 home runs, Mitch 26 home runs on the year. For Steven, off to a slow start earlier this year. You talked about it at the beginning of the series, Aaron, and he has really picked it up, which is great to see. Talented player.
Guy with some Pac-12 roots, played his college ball in Palo Alto. Full count. Pinder on deck. Felix is 3-2. Soft fly ball into center. Speaking of Mitch Haniger, 2 outs.
Another quality curveball from him.
Coming this fall on Root Sports, it's another exciting year of Gonzaga basketball. Ranked top 5 in preseason polls, the Zags have another loaded roster, returning for head coach Mark Few, who is looking to guide the Bulldogs to their 21st straight NCAA tournament appearance. Check out the full schedule on GoZags.com. Catch all the action all season long right here on Root Sports. 2 down for Pinder, bases empty. A home run earlier for Pinder. This is threatening out to left. Span has space. And for the second time this inning, 1 pitch and 1 out. Pinder retired. Felix faces the minimum once again. On to the bottom of the fourth, tied at 2. I'll go into the game. It's a quick and easy trip on the Sounder train, Link Light Rail, and ST Express buses. Plan your trip at soundtransit.org. Good look at the stadium station right across the street. Denard Span leads it off for the Mariners. And now the 1-1. Full foul.
93 on the inside corner. Turned it around.
Span, Seager, and Vogelback here in the bottom of the fourth for the Mariners. They tied this game to the second on a 2-run double by Ben Gamble. Oh my. Span looks like he's all right, all things considered.
Oh, they hit him on the leg or on the foot. Down and in, fastball off the shin.
Yeah.
94 miles an hour by Cutter.
That's a direct blow.
Seems to be all right.
I don't know how that's possible. You know, we've talked about this before, Mike. But people, you're on your couch, you're in a recliner, you're watching a game, and what happens every night, right? Somebody gets hit by a pitch.
Seems to, yes.
Right, and it's just a part of the game, and we become numb to it because we see it on a nightly basis. And any mere mortal who has that happen to them, there's a helicopter hovering over Safeco Field and a stretcher is being lowered down. I mean,
so you're telling me your leg would be broken? Right?
Oh, I'm saying, guys, just keep my knee. Just keep the knee. That's all I ask.
And yet you see him at first base laughing.
Yeah,
about it.
I can't. I don't understand. And what happens on a college football field on a Saturday or on an NFL field on a Sunday is so far beyond my comprehension, right?
I agree. Yeah.
But you put Cam Chancellor in there with a bat and you say, now Cam, this is going to be 100 miles an hour. The ball's really hard and it could come right at you. Even he's running away from that, and he hasn't run away from anything.
Probably not Cam Chancellor.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think he'll be okay.
That's a scary place to be, man. I don't have to tell you.
Especially in today's game with the velocities that these guys are seeing every night.
Yeah, because for the rest of us, we wouldn't even see it hit us.
Well, you know, it's one of the things I've talked about it from time to time, but to stand in there and hit, you have to be committed. So I think there's a couple of things that are going on. There's a certain amount of courage to stand in there, right?
Well, there's a fear factor. There's no doubt.
Yeah. And there's also some trust involved in that guy that's out there with the ball in his hand. So those two things.
Not to throw it at your head.
You're right. And that's why for me, it's more comfortable, I think, at this level than when you're in the lower levels in A ball, because these guys are still throwing 97, but they're still trying to figure things out, and the ball gets away from them a lot more often. Well, and it may be right at somebody's head, and it's not something that they're trying to do. This, you know, they're young players, and they're trying to figure things out.
I mean, obviously, that makes me think of one person. Can you imagine facing Randy in the low minors? When he was figuring it out?
I can remember. We had instructional league back then, so when the season was over, the prospects, they would send you to instructional league, and for us it was in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I was in A ball, and Randy, I believe, was in double A at the time, but he went there to work on something. I don't know if it was a changeup or a curveball, but he went to work on another pitch outside of his fastball and his slider. And we were playing an instructional league game. Line drive, solid base hit for Kyle. We were talking about earlier, turning on the ball with authority. He had a base hit to right field last night. Walked his first time up and scored a run, and now another solid base hit. But we were having an instructional league game against the Baltimore Orioles, and Randy was working, let's call it on a changeup, and it wasn't going particularly well that day, and they were hitting the ball around the ballpark in the first inning, and they made the mistake of chirping a little bit too loud in the dugout. And of course, at these instructional league games, it's kind of like the spring training fields where we're on the backfields. There are no fans there. We're just working on things. And Randy decided he was no longer going to throw the changeup.
The test kitchen is closed for the day.
Let's just say he pitched inside for the next 3 innings. And it became a little bit painful for Baltimore. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that was a rough day for him. He figured things out though. Never went back to the changeup.
Never to be seen again.
No. Fastball at 100 and Mr. Snappy.
We'll go back a chance to give the Mariners a lead here in the bottom of the 4th. Batting with Span at second, Seager at first.
It's interesting watching him tonight. He appears that he's ready to hit. He wants to be aggressive, but he's also been able to take some close pitches, borderline pitches. Jackson throwing in the changeup in his first at bat, ended up walking.
The command numbers for Randy, his first couple of years of the minors, were just awful. Ryan Dole warming up. His rookie year, he's a 21-year-old pitching in the Penn League in Jamestown, New York. And I feel like he probably stuck out a little bit in Jamestown. 24 walks in 27 innings. More walks than strikeouts, in fact.
Yep.
Even his first couple of years in the big leagues with the Mariners, the walk numbers were through the roof.
That's why we talk about it, but for Randy, you know, throwing anywhere from 120 to 140 pitches and early on, that did not get him real deep into the game because of that.
His first full year in pro ball in the minors, in high A ball in Florida, 94 walks in 120 innings.
Yep.
See the Z?
There had to be a hit batter in there somewhere.
Up the middle, Simeon back over on the shortstop side of things. One down.
Move the runners up.
Hey, along the lines of Randy Johnson, our Geico in this day in big league history. How about this day in '93? Randy strikes out his 300th batter of the season. Ruben Sierra was number 300, 12th pitcher since 1900 to notch that mark. Max Scherzer just reaching that milestone with the Nationals. Verlander's at 280. But for Randy, 300 strikeouts was not only an annual thing for a while, but wasn't exactly the top of it either.
A's have their infield in. Chance for Ben to have a big night. Drove in a couple of runs with a double his first time up. The only 2 runs for the Mariners. Good situation for him to hit in now. Second and third, just the 1 out in the infield in.
Span and Seager the runners.
always found it interesting with Randy too. You think about 6'10", trying to repeat that delivery. 6'10", throwing 100. It took him some time. I believe what happened was he was in Seattle, second or third year, and the season was over, and he went and saw Nolan Ryan. And I don't know what Nolan said to him or what that was all about, but it seemed that something clicked there, and then Randy was a much different pitcher after that. Obviously want to talk to somebody that could also throw 100 miles an hour.
I was going to say, if you're struggling and you're a young big leaguer, just go talk to Nolan Ryan. How long is that line? Big spot here for Gamble.
See if Scott lets him hit 3-0. Taking all the way.
Bases are loaded. Fourth walk tonight drawn by a Mariners hitter. And the second time in 4 innings that Jackson is dealing with the bases loaded.
Yeah, he hasn't been sharp. Hit batter in a walk here, had 3 walks in the second inning.
The Mariners with 2 grand slams this season. Seager with 1, Vogelbach the pinch hit grand slam in Houston not long ago. Bags packed, 1 away for Herman. Strike 1. Now this inning began with Span being hit on the shin by a pitch. Seager then singled into right field. And out later, Gamble walks. The 0-1 makes it 0-2.
Cutter, borderline pitch, but gets the call. More pitchers use the cutter. It used to be they would pitch inside with the cutter all the time, but this year I've seen more pitchers that have the cutter started off the plate away and try to run it on the outside corner. As we mentioned, Marco Gonzalez, he will do that. Wade LeBlanc will also do that.
Chris Herman a chance to put the Mariners in front here in the 4th. The 0-2. 2 away. I think the risk of the cutter remains the same whether you try to backdoor it or pitch it inside, because we always talk about how if you miss with that pitch, right, you are just dead center of the plate, run right into the barrel.
Yeah, and that's why I think typically so for Jackson being right-handed, when I'm talking about that cutter off the plate and running back to the outside corner, it would be to the left-hander. I think that can be a little more dangerous just because when he's pitching inside with it, 1, I think that they do it more often, so they're probably more comfortable doing that. But 2, if you start it on the outside corner, it will run to the middle of the plate, and the velocity is probably down a couple 2 or 3 miles an hour from his regular fastball, and that will catch the barrel. So I think that is a little more dangerous just because you don't see it as often. You have to be really fine with that pitch.
Chance here for Haniger, 2 outs, bases still loaded, and a tied 4th inning. Haniger's got an outside chance of 100 RBIs. He would need a couple of big games. And a 4 ribby game would probably count towards that. It's a 91 batted in this season.
I'd like to see him and Nelson get there. Nelson with 95. A bit closer than Mitch.
Now the 1-1. Up the middle, Simeon. Waist high hop. Gets rid of it quickly to Lowry covering. And the Mariners will leave him loaded. Following tomorrow's 7-10 game against the Rangers, 4,000 fans will take home a free bag of Safeco Field soil thanks to Cedar Grove. Visit Mariners.com for tickets. Marcana leads it off facing Felix. Marcana, the number 8 hitter, walked his last time up.
We've seen him play left field. Tonight he's in center field, also some first base. And now he gets hit by a pitch. 77 miles an hour. Primera Supermo, and it looks like it hits him in the shoulder, right on the elbow pad.
The catcher, Josh Fegley. That snap 7 in a row sat down by Felix. And that stretch he struck out the side in order in the 3rd. Simeon, Lowry, and Davis. That's up and in. Felix ahead.
This curveball has been his best pitch tonight. Pitch count at 70, 75, and Felix now at 68 pitches, so Jason Bradford getting loose in the pen.
He has been the first man up in recent nights. Close, but ball 2. hit batter to begin the inning. Now a full count to Fegley, the number 9 hitter. And out of play, foul, still 3-2. Now clock beginning to really tick on Felix at 71 pitches now. Another 3-2. Back to Felix. Wide to second. Gene can't get there. Backed up by Haniger. Now is Gene slow to get up because he's injured, or is he just slow to get up?
I think he's okay. Right back to Felix, and Gene hustling to the base, and Felix throwing it back behind him, not able to get to it. So Felix a chance to help himself out. Fielder's choice E1. Typically Fields' his position in pretty good shape, and that's not a problem for him.
First pitch strike to Nick Martini. So A's threatening, nobody out, runners on the corners, go ahead run at third. Martini, the leadoff hitter, 0 for 2 tonight. Hard hit through. A's are taking the lead. Canna scores. Fegley running very well for a catcher in particular into third. He pedals quickly. Martini has given the A's now a 3-2 lead in the 5th inning. And here comes Scott.
Yep. Felix now at 74 pitches, and 70-75 was what his limits were today, and he's there. Scout Service going to make a change.
And a leadoff hit batter comes all the way around to score. Aided by an E1. And Chasen Bradford coming on to work for the Mariners. Felix, his final start of the season in the books, Mike.
And for Felix, his fastball at 90 miles an hour. Had an excellent curveball today. His changeup, saw a little bit of the changeup, but primarily it was the curveball and the fastball at 90. A couple of solo home runs against Felix hurt him early in the ball game, and of course we just saw him. He had a double play ball that wasn't able to help himself out. So his last start of the year, 4+ for him, 3 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned. A couple of walks, 4 strikeouts through 74 pitches, 45 strikes.
Our Beacon Plumbing call to the pin. Jason Bradford on to work for the Mariners.
Low 90s fastball with a slider. 45 appearances on the year. A 3.23 ERA. 38 strikeouts in 53 innings. Opponents hitting .254 against Jason.
Marcus Semien the first to face him. Nobody out, runners on the corners. And it's strike one to Semien. Bunt. Cued foul.
It's not a squeeze. It was not a safety squeeze. He's trying to bunt. Keeps it fair. If he can move. Runner from third to home.
He's a 250 plus hitter. 15 home runs on the season now for Semien. Bagley at third, Martini at first. Nobody out, top of the fifth. Now the 1-2. Old foul. Something to take home. Now, prior to this fifth inning, the A's with 2 solo home runs. Semien had the first 2 batters into the ball game. Pinder the other. Mariners with a 2-run double by Gamble. Lined into left field. Bagley down the line to score. 4-2 A's. Semien, the second run batted in tonight.
Right on the outside corner. Looked like it was the breaking ball. Line drive into left field. The A's are 2 for 4 with runners in scoring position.
Run on Felix's line. Here's Jed Lowry. Vogelback right behind the bag. 1 away. Two in scoring position, 1 out. As we continue our look into the National League playoff picture, Rockies all over the Phillies, 14-0. They've now moved into first place tie with the Dodgers. You look at the National League wild card. Brewers at the top, Rockies, Dodgers right behind them. Then the Cardinals. Cardinals have been eliminated from a chance to win the Central with the Brewers win today. Rockies have outscored the Phillies 34-4 in the first 3 games of that series. They'll be back at it once again tomorrow.
Do you have a favorite in the National League?
You know, it's funny. I was telling somebody about this the other day. I said, yeah, Mike asked me on the air. Now, this was probably 3 weeks ago. And Mike asked me on the air who I liked in the National League. And I said, this team. And then the next day I said, this is terrible. And then, but a week later, asked me, who do you like in the National League? I said, well, that team. And then I look at it like, oh, now they're terrible. I mean, it is all over the place this year in the National League.
So your answer is?
Well, the Cardinals, obviously. I think
I like the story of the Brewers.
Well, in all seriousness, I think Craig Counsell's a candidate for manager of the year in the National League. They have two guys in their outfield who have been just spectacular. Here is Chris Davis with 2 in scoring position. Now the Cubs have really taken a hit in the back end of their bullpen, and that could rear its ugly head come postseason time. Well, they have Javi Baez, and the coolness factor of Baez can cure a lot of ills.
Looks like the Dodgers starting to play a little bit better.
You know, I've said that like 3 times. And then I look up a few days later.
I understand why. It's true.
And then I look up a few days later and they're not.
Right.
They're losing tonight. It's tough to figure out. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's been far more entertaining than the American League just because of the uncertainty involved. I'll tell you, I saw the Brewers as they just put Davis on. I saw the Brewers in mid-August in St. Louis, Mike, and I walked away from that game. Now, it's one game, right? But they looked so bad in one game. So kicking the ball around, the defense was a problem. Their starting pitching was a problem. They had injuries to their bullpen. And at that time, I was thinking, it's not going to happen. I mean, even now, Yelich, it's funny how much things can change in a month and a half, right? Nobody was talking about Yelich as an MVP candidate.
They are now.
They are now.
Maybe they heard you were there and they just tried too hard.
The Cardinals played well. One ball and 1 strike to Olsen. Bases loaded. Would love a double play. Now this is trouble. Out to right center. Gamble out of room and gone. Grand slam. 8-2 Oakland all of a sudden.
Borderline down out of the strike zone. Stayed with it though. It's a barreling it up. Towering fly ball. A lot of leverage in that swing.
In steps Piscotty, one away. Segura off to his left. And Piscotty retired.
Exit velocity of 102.5. And a lot of carry.
Pinder is the 9th batter of this A's 5th inning. Oakland has swatted 3 home runs tonight. One in last night's contest. And 4 in game 1. They like to hit home runs on the road this year. We talked about that early on in this series. Now 7 shy of the big league record.
Nick Rumbelow getting loose in the pen for the Mariners.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Pinder. It's been a 6-run inning for the A's. And to center. Towards left center. Pinder with a base hit with 2 down. Now the Cubbies with a walk-off win at Wrigley, taking down the Pirates 7-6. Cubs are back in action tomorrow. Off day for some clubs around baseball tomorrow. So Chicago half-game lead over the Brewers. Brewers the top wild card team. Of these contenders, only the Cubs and the Rockies are playing tomorrow. Everybody else off. Scott Service makes a call to the pen. We will step aside, a pitching change. Seattle Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Money Tree. Proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. By Jack in the Box. This season, a Mariners double play means free jumbo jacks from Jack in the Box. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. And by BNSF Railway, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. Well, the A's have taken a commanding lead here in the 5th inning. Nick Rumbelow is on a pitch, 8-2 Oakland.
11 appearances, ERA just over 7. 15 in the third, 13 strikeouts. Opponent's hitting .306 against him. Low 90s with the fastball, slider.
Pinder aboard, Canna the batter.
Canna led the inning off and was hit by a pitch. Hit on the elbow.
The 0-1. Jammed him. Span comes charging in. puts down the brakes and puts it away. A productive inning for the A's, a grand slam and more. They lead it 8-2. Make your voice heard. Nominate your favorite plays of the week by tweeting us using the hashtag #RootFanFave. Watch the Mariners pregame show every Sunday to find out your fan favorite plays of the week. Plus, each month, one lucky fan will win a Coors Light Yeti cooler just for participating. For official rules, visit rootsports.com. Olsen a grand slam, a 6-run inning, a 10-batter frame for the A's. Segura leads it off from the bottom of the 5th, making it ball 1. For Olsen, that was his first career grand slam, and the 131 homers this year on the road for the A's is a new club record. To Segura. Lead off, 4-pitch walk. Gene on base for the second time. Robbie has bounced to a double play and also flew out to left on a really fine catch by Nick Martini.
Robinson with a 7-game hitting streak. Did not like the last call. It was borderline.
Two. Into center field for a base hit. Segura makes the turn. Headlong slide. He's safe at third. Cano extends that hitting streak to 7 games now.
0-2, breaking ball in the middle of the plate. Solid line drive, base hit back up the middle. That's after a couple of fastballs were on the outside corner, so he makes a mistake. Jackson does, and Robbie makes him pay for it. About it earlier with Nelson Cruz, 95 RBIs on the year. Good situation for him to pick up another RBI.
Yes, it is. First pitch coming to Nelly. High, hang time out to Cano to the base of the track, and it will have to settle for a sacrifice fly. 8-3 Oakland. 96 driven in now for Nelly. Ball one to Span. Martini giving this a chase. 1 ball and 1 strike.
I like the fan.
Now that is terrific.
Well done.
Points for creativity and just the overall craftiness of that sign. Inside. Out towards the pole, right field. This is hooking foul. Mike, I was thinking today the A's have one of the most intriguing first-round draft picks on their payroll.
They do.
Kyler Murray, who was taken 9th overall, was an outfielder on the Oklahoma baseball team. And he is playing this year his only season of Big 12 football, the starting quarterback for the Sooners.
Seen him once so far.
He's off to a really good start.
Yep.
Not a big guy, but incredibly athletic. Signed a signing bonus, I should say, for over $4 million and is playing for Oklahoma this year. And then after the end of the season, will turn in the pads and begin his professional baseball career.
At Oklahoma, what position does he play?
He's an outfielder.
Outfielder.
Cano at first. And to right field for a base hit. One out and 2 on. Here comes Bob Melvin. Seager due up. 1 out, 2 on. They've got a pitch and change. Now at tonight's T-Mobile Built for Baseball, as the Oakland A's and Edwin Jackson in particular getting out of a bases loaded jam of the 4th inning.
I don't think he was real sharp today, but he made a couple of pitches when he needed to. See the force out at second base. Almost a collision by Ben Gamble. Not sure why he didn't slide. He almost ran into Lowry. 4 1/3, 5 hits, 3 runs. They were earned. 5 walks, a couple of strikeouts through 84 pitches, 47 of them for strikes. He's responsible for the 2 base runners.
Ryan Buchter, the new pitcher up on the mound for the A's.
52 appearances. He's pitched well at 2.89, 37 in the third, 37 strikeouts. Opponent's hitting 229 against a fastball at 92 miles an hour. Cutter curve.
Ball 1 to Seager. To the backstop. Both men move up a station. Cano to third, Span to second.
Pass ball.
Two and 0. Balls and a strike to Kyle. Well, the Mariners don't have to get all the runs in one time, but a good chance here to chip away at things. A's with a 6-run, 10-batter top of the 5th. Mariners getting already 1 run here in the home half. The 2-1.
Falling behind and went right after him with a couple of fastballs at 93 miles an hour. Both of them top of the zone. Kyle swinging through him.
pushes full. Shift on for Kyle. 1 out, 2 on. Strike 3 call. Two outs. Here's Vogelback. Talking about Kyler Murray, drafted after 2 years playing the outfield for the Sooners baseball team. He was, let's just call it, roadblocked on the football team by a guy named Baker.
Yep.
Can you imagine what it must be like playing at Oklahoma on Saturdays for a year and then starting your minor league career?
You're an A-ball somewhere.
You and 25 of your closest friends in the crowd. And that is a different change of environment, to say the least.
Nice check, though.
Yeah. Vogelback batting with 2 outs and 2 on. Inside corner. 0-2. Giving Joaquin Benoit a run for his money. Here's 0-2. Vogelback a walk and a ground out. Able to hold back. The 1-2. Meanwhile, Cano is about halfway down the line.
The way they have their defense set up, it's not an issue for him. And you're right, he was halfway.
Come on, Robbie!
Doing that right, they just keep walking down the line. You can see there's nobody around him.
Now Buchter out of the bullpen, a couple of strikeouts, both looking to get Seager. Now Vogelback. The Mariners strand 2. We have reached the 6th. A's lead it 8-3 over the Mariners. As we turn now to our Columbia Bank difference of the game, it came in the 5th. Bags packed Matt Olson, number 29 on the season, and his first career grand slam.
Towering fly ball out to right with a lot of carry, obviously. Almost had it.
Here was the catcher Fegley beginning the 6th inning. Rumble delivers strike 1. Mike, watching that highlight and seeing Gamble in right field, it's making me wonder a little bit. I wonder what Ben thinks of his season this year, what Scott and Jerry think of Ben's season this year. Last year, of course, magnificent. This year, injury in spring training, and then, of course, spent some time in AAA. What do you make of Ben's season this year?
I give him a lot of credit. I think when you consider all the things you talked about, and then he was really playing well in left field. They made the trade, and Denard Span comes along, a veteran left fielder, and Span has really played well also. But unfortunately for Ben, that cut his playing time down to the point to where they actually sent him down. And I think he was hitting close to 300, 290 at the time.
When the Mariners really needed offense.
Yeah, and has not complained about any of it. Getting a chance to play tonight, but you know, he's been in and out of the lineup. Scott trying to get him in when he can. And the start of today, hitting 272. So I think that the role that he has been in and what he has gone through this year would be difficult for a veteran player to handle it well. And I think so for him, I think he really has handled it well. And I just think that he'll continue to hit. Now, what that means for him next year, obviously we'll have to wait and see what happens over the course of the winter. But I think that Scott has to be pleased with what Ben has been able to do for him this year, the type of year that he has had, the things that he has had to deal with.
Rumble quickly disposes of Martini.
Fastball, top of the strike zone, late swing.
Two outs for the shortstop, Marcus Semien. Off his lower half, it looked like.
10 pitches, 10 strikes.
I'll make you wear a shin guard.
Still trying to walk it off.
Semien, one of 3 home runs tonight by the A's. For the first time, something other than a strike from Rumble.
Thing with Ben too is he also has done a really nice job pinch hitting, which is
You're right.
something else that you would normally see a veteran get that type of job.
You had a good talk with him about that.
Well, just in general and how he stays sharp, and they have a velocity machine that when they're at home that he's able to use, and he'll crank that thing up just so he can get something more than just the regular batting practice on the field, just to keep his eyes trained and slow the game down so he's not overwhelmed by the good fastball. It's a great idea.
Rumble gets Semien, and the side retired in order. Roommates, classmates, and others at Safeco Field on Friday for college night. All students with valid college ID can score a special $13 ticket and enjoy extended happy hour. Plus, it's fireworks night presented by T-Mobile. So at themariners.com/college. Here's Ben Gamble to begin things.
The double is driven in 2 runs and also walked.
You know, the other thing with Ben you're talking about, Mike, and you've had more in-depth conversations about this with Ben, I'm sure, than I have, but he strikes me as someone who has a fairly uncomplicated approach when he's at the plate in terms of what he's looking for.
You're absolutely right. I was talking to him about it probably a week ago and seeing how he was doing, what his plan is as far as pinch hitting or playing a couple times a week, and he basically said, I do not get off of the fastball. I am going to hit the fastball. That is it. And he said that everything else has to work off of that first and foremost. And that's a fairly simple approach to it. I asked him, do you look inside? Do you ever look for the breaking ball? And he said, no, just look for the fastball in the middle of the plate. Pretty good approach. It's worked well for him.
But in some way reminds me of a hitting demo piece that Alex Rodriguez did with Jose Altuve earlier this year. And A-Rod was...
I saw clips of it. I didn't hear any
He was inside the cage. This is before a Sunday night baseball game that the Astros were, of course, playing. And he was hitting with one of the game's best in Altuve. And he said, now, Jose, tell me, imagine this. There's a runner in scoring position. It's the bottom of the 9th inning. What is it that you're looking for? Well, I'm looking for something up in the zone that I can hit. Okay, but imagine that it's the 9th inning and the go-ahead run, the winning run is at third base. There's 2 outs. What is it you're looking for? I'm just looking for a pitch that I can hit over the plate. Maybe up in the zone a little bit. Okay, so that's how you win an MVP award? That's it? You just look for a pitch that you can hit and do some damage on? I mean, he was coming up with every possible elaborate situation that people in our line of work would salivate over. And it was pretty much simple and the same every single time for Jose Altuve.
In depth.
Exactly. When I look at the spin, and then based on the trajectory of the wind and the dew point, of course, that will affect things. He was getting none of that. Enough walk by Gamble. Here's Herman. Which takes me back to a conversation we had with Brian Dozier.
I knew you were going to go there.
You really do listen, don't you? You are incredible. Dozier had.
I think he's absolutely right.
Do you
think
he is?
Yes.
This was last year. We were talking to Brian Dozier. He said, in this game, you have to be one of 2 different players. And you're on one side of the fence or you're on the other. You're not in the middle. He said you either have to be the smartest player or the dumbest player, which completely caught me off guard. And I said, what are you talking about? He said you either have to be the guy who knows which way the grass is cut and as a result which way the ball will spin if it's hit that direction from a righty versus a lefty. You have to know what pitches this guy will throw in this situation, or you have to not care about any of that.
See and hit.
See ball, hit ball. And so, of course, what's the natural follow-up question to that? Oh, Brian, which one are you? Well, I like to think I'm one of the smartest players.
He's a pretty good player. I know that.
Now, a member of the Dodgers. He's had a hard time with Los Angeles. He said a little while ago that he's had a knee issue all season long. It's been affecting him. On a 40 home run year not long ago. Martini near the line. So you agree with that assessment?
I think so. I think it is, especially in today's game, because of the amount of information that is out there. We've talked about that. You can get bogged down with it, and even Bob Melvin going to make a pitching change. But even Edgar has talked about how much information he can give to individual players and what they're able to handle.
Liam Hendricks, hard throwing right-hander coming on.
Andrew Mentank here at the Ford Sports Desk. I don't know if you were like me, but I kind of drove my kid to school this morning with one eye open after the extra inning affair. And why not stay up late again tonight? Miss Fresco says school nights, why not? He loves his Mariners. The hashtag is where I root, presented by Alaska Airlines. Mama loves J&H. And then we've got this one from Laura, here to give a fond farewell to Kuma. Kuma threw an absolute seed tonight when he was throwing out the ceremonial first pitch, and also here, of course, to cheer on our new American king, Felix Hernandez, becoming an American citizen. And Lisa sends this one in, final stretch of the 2018 season. And continue to send in your photos. Use that hashtag where I root, presented by Alaska Airlines. But, Aaron, if you do, it gives us permission to use your photo.
Thank you, Angie. Haniger batting here with 1 out and 1 on. Liam Hendricks, the new pitcher.
Fastball slider, mid-90s with this fastball.
A rare 0 for 3 start to this night for Haniger.
First pitch to him was 97. A little bit late.
Gamble back in time. Nothing to 2 on Haniger. What was the weight again on Mitch's bat, Mike? There was a fraction involved there, wasn't it?
I think it was a half, yeah. 31 and a half, I believe.
And do I understand this right for Mitch? The pine tar on his bat, I mean, he is basically, I mean, he's playing a trick on his mind, right, with making the barrel look larger than it actually is.
Right. That's exactly what he was saying. Yes. And I get it.
And apparently it is working for
a lot of hitters will do that with, they put all that pine tar on there. So basically for him, what he is seeing is just the barrel, which is obviously what he's trying to do, right? Have the barrel hit the baseball. And I think it's one of those visual things that is helpful. And there's a lot of hitters that will do that. One of them is actually their hitting coach, Edgar Martinez. Look at Robbie's jersey, and he obviously likes the pine tar.
The clubbies, not so much. One out, one on, the gamble to first base. Two outs. And brings up Segura.
So if you want to help Jackson out with the wiffle ball bat,
yeah,
you might want to get some pine tar.
Get rid of those dark bats, right? Now, have you ever heard the theory that if you swing a black bat, that it is harder for the umpires on the corners to see on a check swing if you went around? Have you heard of this?
I have not.
It's out there.
Continue.
Period.
Now it's also changed. The bats that these guys get are terrific, but it used to be that you would order the bats and you'd order the black bats because of the lacquer that they would put on them. They felt that made the bats harder wood form and they would last long.
Chops. Hendricks.
I'm not sure that's really a thing either, but hey, if you believe
it, it works. Out of the seventh. Reach the top of the seventh. A's that big fifth inning. They have the lead. Well, this happened before the game, which this is a ritual we have become very accustomed to with Felix Hernandez. After he throws his final warm-up toss, handing that ball to a young fan.
Nice catch.
But Edwin Jackson, the starter tonight for the Oakland A's, giving that ball to a young Mariners fan on his way to the dugout. You know, Edwin Jackson, didn't mention it when he was up on the mound. The A's are the 13th team that he has pitched for in the major leagues. I'm not just talking about organizations that maybe you don't reach it to the top with. 13 different big league teams. That ties an all-time major league record. Octavio Dotel, the other. Here's Casey Lawrence.
10 appearances, 20 and a third, 12 strikeouts. Only seeing 301 against Casey. Sinker, slider.
Facing Jed Lowry. Lowry jumping on the first pitch. Gamble with space. Ball had a lot of hang time. One down. 13 teams, 15 seasons, by the way. But you can look at that a couple of different ways, right? I mean, you can look at it as got a hard time sticking with a team. You can look at it the other way, and there is some serious perseverance in that career for Edwin Jackson. And we, and by we I mean me, Mike, between the two of us, talk often about the wins and losses for a pitcher and what kind of stock you can put into that. But for Edwin Jackson earlier this year with the A's, he says the makings of a home run. Well, Chris Davis, his second this series, his 47th this season, and a surprise the opposite way.
He has had a terrific year. 47 home runs, 121 RBIs, and as Aaron mentioned, the other way again, because we've seen that a few times this year. Other way, center field, really doesn't matter. Olsen also a home run, a grand slam.
You know, for Edwin Jackson earlier this year with the A's, like picking up Gamble out of the track, two hands, almost overruns it.
Ben is busy in this inning.
Is this some core flexibility, Mike?
I think so.
Two outs. Edwin Jackson picked up his 100th career big league win, which for a guy who's been on 13 teams, 100 wins, pretty cool accomplishment.
Mentioned 15 seasons too, so I have to believe he's a pretty good teammate, because I don't think you would get that many opportunities if you weren't.
2 outs, nobody out for Piscotty.
Delkin getting loose in Oakland's bullpen.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Piscotty from the Bay Area, from Pleasanton, and you said after the A's clinched a postseason spot during their celebration that it kind of all hit him at once, that this sounds obvious, but it really hit him at once that this is his boyhood team. This is the team that he grew up going to games at the Coliseum. A lot of kids, Bay Area kids, and there are a few on this A's team that grew up in that part of the country. Marcus Semien one, Marcana another. They're Giants fans, right? Way more Giants fans, not even close. That wasn't the case for Piscotty. He and his family went to a ton of games growing up. And you can relate to that, Mike.
Yeah, right here, going to the Kingdom. You bet. Went to Cheney Stadium quite a bit too. Watch the AAA games.
Full count. Two-out walk. 8-pitch plate appearance for Piscotty. All Marco Gonzalez on the mound tomorrow night for the Mariners. Game 1 of 4 against the Texas Rangers. Marco has had such a terrific season. And Mike, when I look at that ERA of 4.12 for Marco, when I think about his season, it has not been an ERA.
I would agree.
4.
No, he's been better than that. I think of his year and one, health. He's healthy all year long, which was great to see. He was consistent, I thought, all year. Probably learned a lot. It'll be interesting to see how different he is going into spring training next year because of the experience that he has gained. Tomorrow will be his last start of the year.
You know what he's really taught me is it's so almost impossible to judge a pitcher coming back from Tommy John that first partial season. Right, when we saw him in his first partial season with the Mariners, he was still on the mend back from Tommy John, and he was not even close to the type of pitcher that he is now. And
no.
It's so difficult to know how a pitcher will be after that operation, and he is light years from what he was last year when he was still on the mend. (9-3) Athletics as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Well, for the second time of the series, JB Wendelken up on the mound for Von Melvin.
Fastball at 95 miles an hour. Curveball, changeup. Just 11 appearances on the year, but he's pitched well. 14 2/3, 11 strikeouts. Opponent's hitting 157. He's given up just the 1 home run. At the middle of the lineup for the Mariners, Cano, Cruz, Span.
Can you put yourself in the shoes of some of these guys? Look at the extremes of it. Cano, right, the ultimate veteran. Vogelback, a young guy, still trying to make an impression in the organization. What these games are like. The Mariners obviously have been eliminated from postseason play. 4 games after tonight. What these games are like to play in for that various group of players.
That's a good question, because I think if you think about the Mariners this year and their season, obviously terrific first half. They're in the middle of it. You're playing hard every day because you're playing for something, right? It's easy trying to get to the postseason, and so getting up for the games is a simple thing. But then once you are eliminated, I think mentally it makes it, there's the reality of that, but it takes, I think, a day or two to kind of gather yourself if you're a younger player. For a veteran player, they understand, they've been through it before, and you know, part of being a professional is doing everything that you can, even at this point in the season when you've been eliminated. I think for the younger players, and you mentioned Daniel, these are important games for him. because he is trying to make an impression and trying to take a step forward and wants to go to spring training with a real opportunity to try to make a team. So for him, even though there isn't the opportunity to help the team get to the postseason, there's an opportunity to help himself. Robbie goes down swinging. So, you know, it's part of the process, but a lot of veteran players on the Mariners, and you go out and you just play as hard as you can until the end. But it's definitely a different mindset.
I have to imagine so. Here's Nelson Cruz. Nelly now 96 runs batted in this year after the sac fly in the 5th inning. Sac fly out to the warning track.
I think really, you know, Aaron, if you think about it, just sports in general, and it doesn't matter which one it is, you're all played on teams that maybe had struggled along the way, but you still go out and you give them your best effort. That's part of it. And I think you learn that as you're growing up playing in all these different games and sports. And it's one of the reasons why I think it's a good idea. So many of these kids, they specialize now early on, and I think it's a good idea that if you enjoy playing a number of different sports, play them all. Why not?
Could
You
be
learn
like
a lot.
Could be like Kyler Murray.
Yeah, something like that. Another strikeout. Delkin throwing the ball well.
By the way, an update on something that we talked about earlier in the season. The sacrifice fly by Nelson Cruz made me think of it. Joey Gallo, his 2nd consecutive 40 home run season. Still no sacrifice flies. Like, not just this year, ever.
Is that right?
0.
I think a sacrifice fly, they typically will leave the ballpark, and that's the reason why. What do you think about that?
I mean,
it is. It's strange, right?
That is true, but
I mean, especially this year, because he has to have 500 at bats, probably, maybe more.
561.
Yeah.
500 last year as well. I mean, D. Gordon has like 4 sacrifice flies. Now, I get it. One hits the ball routinely deeper than the other. But still, as I said at the time, and I'll say it again, even the game's best home run hitters will miss it by a grain with a runner at third base, and they'll fly out to the warning track, and it's a sacrifice fly.
I cannot wait for you to ask him the question tomorrow. Why?
I will say Joey Gallo has been one of my favorite interviews this year. He of the "I eat 2 Chipotle bowls for lunch, double meat every day."
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now you remember my first chartered flight?
I do.
I was basically Cookie Monster.
Yes.
His first chartered flight in the big leagues, they happened to serve Chipotle on the flight. And he's thinking, this is awesome.
Getting his favorite meal
for free. Wendelken out of the pen, strikes out the side in order. Top of the 8th, A's leading 9-3. It's a whole new ball game with RBI Baseball 18. This game delivers an all-new franchise mode and much more. RBI Baseball 18 is available now at rbigame.com. Rated E for everyone. Casey Lawrence back up on the mound facing Marcana. Canada not happy with that call.
Did you see a lot of the Cardinals growing up?
Oh yeah.
How many times would you go to a game over the course of an average summer?
Average season?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I would say, especially like once I got into high school, probably like 10 times a summer maybe.
Okay. Through that time, did you ever end up going to watch a minor league game?
You know what? I've never thought of this. The first minor league game I ever saw, I broadcasted.
That's where I was getting. So after seeing
I never
the
thought of
Cardinals,
that.
Seeing the Cardinals the whole time, and watching that, and then all of a sudden you're going to be this big time broadcaster.
Well, that was clear. Yes, obviously.
and you end up. What minor league ballpark was it?
Interestingly enough, one hop to Segura. It was across the river from Busch Stadium in the tiny town of Sauget, Illinois, the home of the Gateway Grizzlies.
A-ball?
Independent League.
Independent League.
You know, I said let's be real humble.
Now,
let's get to the bottom of this.
I'm just wondering when you see baseball one way, right?
Right.
And then the next thing you know, you're going to work and you're there.
You know, the good news, that's a great point. You know, the good news is
I could not believe the first time I went and played in a minor league ballpark. Because I saw Cheney Stadium, obviously,
right,
going to games there, and I thought it was terrific. But things have changed in the minor leagues. We've talked about that, but some of those ballparks, I have to tell you, rough.
Well, you also had no idea that you'd be going to the minors. Yes, Mike Blowers, Triple Crown winner. Huskies, ever heard of him? Purple and gold. Directly to the big leagues. Yes? What, Jamestown?
Penn League?
Excuse me?
What is that?
No. Agent?
What'd you think?
I really was in awe. I mean, I'm being honest here. I was in awe of the fact that I was going to collect a paycheck. Now, granted, it was $70 a month.
Yeah.
Sitting watching a baseball game.
Right.
And I had nothing to compare it to in a working environment in sports. That was my first job in sports. Was
it a nice ballpark? How was it?
It actually was. It's for, I mean, it's small, right? Because it's an indie league field. But it really was a terrific ballpark. There were 2 hot tubs in right field, Mike. Now it's like 100 degrees. So I don't know how often they were used. 1 and 2. But you're saying you were less impressed when
yes, I was. Our field, which is no longer there, they have a new field now with the University of Washington, was much better than a lot of those ballparks in the A-ball that I played.
Well, I bet
much better.
I've actually never been to a Division I college baseball game, but I have seen plenty of fields, and I've seen plenty of minor league fields. And even with as great as minor league fields have become, some of those D1 ballparks, and here at Montlake, that's a prime example. They are just gorgeous. Now that enormous banner of Mike Blowers' mug hanging over there probably helps the curb appeal. I just remember it being so hot.
Yeah.
Open air press box, no AC. Heredia's taken over and left, and he can't make the catch. Boy, that is a rarity. When have we said that?
He was playing shallow, took over and left for Span. He's playing shallow. Looked as if he had a beat on it. No problem. Primera Supremo. He's there to make the catch and right off the heel of his glove. You want to give him a double.
Beckham has also come in the game and is now at second base for Cano.
I can remember being in the Southern League Double-A and traveling all night on the bus, ending up in Memphis in the middle of the summer. That was warm.
It was especially warm sleeping in the luggage rack where you were.
And traveling like the entire night and getting there and literally dropping your luggage off and going right to the ballpark.
Now,
You'll get a couple of hits.
It wasn't until I was broadcasting in AAA that we actually pulled over and stopped in the middle of the night. When I was in the AA Texas League, and all the trips were 8 hours.
Right.
We never pulled over. Like, there's no bathroom break, there's no food stop. And I just kind of assumed, because all you know is what you know, right? I just assumed, well, this is it, guys. We're on the clock here, and once we start, we finish when we finish. And in AAA, we would pull over on the trip to Pawtucket back from Syracuse. We'd pull over on the side of the highway at a truck stop that had a McDonald's and 2 employees, and we'd pull over there. You could set your watch to it at like 3 a.m. every trip back, and these 2 poor women who were working the McDonald's at the truck stop at 3 in the morning see a bus of 32 grown men walk off it, and they're like, it's over.
Ordering 3 and 4 of everything.
Simeon down on strikes, and Martini with that double is left stranded to the bottom of the 8th. Bottom 8, 9-3 A's. Well, coming up on Root Sports, it's another Beacon Plumbing High School football game. Tune in tomorrow night to see the Skyline Spartans versus the Bothell Cougars at 11 p.m. Pacific. Don't miss the action this season on Root Sports, brought to you by Beacon Plumbing, Heating, Electrical, and Mechanical. Stop freaking. Call Beacon. Well, new pitcher up on the mound for the A's, a guy with a big personality.
Ryan Dahl. Fastball at 91 miles an hour and a slider. 26 appearances on the year, 4.5 ERA, 20 strikeouts, over 6 walks. Opponent's hitting .253 against him. Kyle Seager going to lead things off. Seager, Vogelback, Gamble.
Swinging strike 1. I got more on McDonald's for you, by the way, Mike. Guess who, more times than not, who the last guy was to place his order?
guessing you, since I don't know who anybody else on that team.
The lowly broadcaster. And you know what it's like when you happen to be like essentially the last guy on the bus after they've been pulled over for an hour and it's now 3:30 in the morning. Now there was one time where I wasn't the last guy on the bus. My broadcast partner was the last guy on the bus. Let's just call him Tom. Actually, I take that back. I was the last guy. He was already on there, and our hitting coach was sitting near us when somebody asked, "Hey, we're ready to go. Where's Tom?" And our hitting coach said, "Who cares? Leave him." And then Tom said, "I'm right here. We can go."
Real popular.
Real popular. And the you know what? The hitting coach didn't seem to really care that whole thing went down.
It didn't bother him.
Didn't bother him one bit. Okay, Tom, thanks for the update. Diamondbacks take down the Dodgers. Pollock with a big 3-run home run in that game. How about this? The Rockies leading the West by a half game over the Dodgers. Dodgers now holding the second wild card. There's Vogelback. Man, it is going to be an interesting last few days in the National League.
Yep. Daniel 0 for 2.
Two balls and a strike. One out, the shift on the 2-2. Into the shift. And is Simeon, the shortstop, one at the triangle. There's number 2.
We got Ben Gamble. Ben has been on base all 3 times. A double, drove in 2 runs, and then he has walked his last 2 times.
Nice slice over towards left center. Martini, the left fielder, puts it away as we go to the 9th. we hope you can stick around after the game for Mariners post game presented by Alaska Airlines. Oh, it's a chance here from the Skipper Scott Service. No doubt here from Felix Hernandez, who made his final start of the season tonight, going 4+. Jed Lowry begins things for the A's, looking at strike one. The opposite way, finds a new left fielder, Christopher Negron, for the Mariners. Lowry's first hit tonight. And Davis a chance for 50 home runs now this year. He's at 47, his homer tonight. Our chopper. Romine is taken over at short, and they get two.
Romine able to get rid of it quickly. A strong throw from Beckham.
So Negron in left, as we saw. Heredia has moved from left to center. Romine and Beckham up the middle. Ball one to Matt Olson, a grand slam earlier tonight, the first of his career. One of 4 home runs tonight by the A's. Count levels, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Old foul. 9 home runs this series for the A's. And the A's have had one of the most prolific road homer seasons in baseball history. Top 5 all time. Almost the same spot. And you know what? If Chris Davis does hit 50 home runs this year, you ask the average baseball fan next spring, hey, who hit 50 home runs last year in Major League Baseball? And nobody will tell you that it was Chris Davis.
I think you're probably right about that.
On to the bottom of the 9th inning. On the go, no problem. The Mariners are at your fingertips with the Root Sports mobile app. Just download the app and log in with your participating TV provider. Account information only available to customers whose TV subscription includes Root Sports. Check now to see if your provider is participating. Up on the mound now for the A's, a guy with a big arm.
Mero Petit going to take over. Fastball at 89 miles an hour. Cutter, curve, changeup. 72 appearances on the year. ERA just over 3. 75 strikeouts in 91 innings. Opponent hitting .223. He's given up 13 home runs this year. Chris Herman will step in.
Ball and a strike. Now tomorrow night, the final series of the season for the Mariners. Marco Gonzalez in game 1, Wade LeBlanc in game 2. Remember Sunday's game 162, final game of the season, a 12:10 first pitch, as opposed to the usual 1:10. Which for as much of a Sunday routine as that might throw off a little bit, Mike, this, I don't know, what is this, the 3rd or 4th year that baseball has gone to that, where every game starts at the same time on game 162?
First of all, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, that's where I was going. The competitive advantage is now no longer.
Right. Yeah. So I like that part of it. I don't think it really changes much. Typically, at this point in the year, on the day games,
Petit handles it.
There's not a lot of extra work. So it's not as if you have to get to the ballpark too early. So you're fine.
In steps Negron, his first at bat. Taking over in Haniger's spot. Mitch Herrera for 4. And you know, for people who maybe don't know what we're talking about, Mike, it might be worth explaining the competitive advantage of the game 162. If you are a East Coast team and there is a West Coast team and you are trying to get either a clinch of the division or a wild card spot and you are planning on throwing your ace, if you're the West Coast team and you see that the East Coast team's game is almost nearly over and that they are about to lose, well, then maybe you can just sit that guy.
Yeah, and then you scratch them. Yep, that's exactly right. That's why I think it's such a good idea.
Still 1-2. Again, the 1-2. Next pitch will be number 7. Even with a loss tonight, the Mariners will win the season series over the A's. They will win 10 games to 9. Mariners will try to end their season with a winning record against the Rangers. Texas comes to town beginning tomorrow for 4. McGrone lifts this out to left. Martini feeling almost for the wall. 2 outs.
Andrew Romine going to get his first plate appearance.
Ball 1 to Romine. Now 1-2 on Romine. Marco, tomorrow 7:10 our first pitch time. Our pregame coverage begins at 6:30. The first of 4 against the Rangers. Out to the gap in right center field and finds a base hit. Romine making the turn. He's got the Hot Wheels going into third base and he slides in with a triple.
Off-speed pitch, top of the zone, lines it into the gap. And plenty of speed. Easy triple for Romine.
His first triple in a Mariners uniform. Brings up Gordon Beckham. The Mariners will have tomorrow off. Excuse me, the Angels will have tomorrow off and then will wrap up their season in Anaheim. 1-2. A's on the brink of collecting their 96th win of the season. Franklin Barreto, the young second baseman, has taken over there to finish this ball game. Now the A's 4 home runs, a 6-run fifth, highlighted by Olson's grand slam. And Oakland wins tonight. They take the series 2-1. Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines begins right now. Val, Brad, it's all yours.
Well, thank you, Mr. Goldsmith. Olson, Pinder, 2 of the 4 home runs hit today. Of course, Olson, the big one, number 29, the grand slam, breaking things wide open in the 5th. They intentionally walk Chris Davis. They get Olson, and he deposits one into right center field. A's take it 9-3. 9 home runs this series. Welcome to the pen. It's Brad. It's Mr. Dave Valley. 9 home runs they hit, Val. 24 runs. Showing you once again, this is kind of a new A's team, a team going to the postseason and playing like a team going to the postseason.
Well, their production on the road with the home runs has been absolutely unbelievable. We saw that this homestand here against the Seattle Mariners. They had 4 more today. This is a team that's going to be ready to go into that wild card game and see what happens. I tell you what, they're going to be tough if they get to Yankee Stadium on the road, this team can get it done.
And because they actually hit better and score better on the road. They want to have that game at home, the wild card game, but the way they hit, maybe they want to have it at Yankee Stadium. Then just a short trip up to Boston. So they take care of the Mariners, the final game of the year. The Mariners, though, win the season series 10-9. The A's take this series. Felix Hernandez, final start, 4 innings. We'll talk about Felix, hopefully hear from him as well, hear from the skipper, and talk more about this game and look forward to the last 4 games of this homestand and of this season, 4 against the Texas Rangers. Who also hit a grand slam, and also it's into a nice 4-3 ground out. Cano, nice sliding grab. Felix liked that one, didn't like a whole lot else. A's take it 9-3. Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines continues on Root Sports.